It's the radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome back to the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline. Today we are reaching down to Tallahassee, Florida. We have, and it's none other than Brother Shotgun Willie Simmons. How you doing today, my man?
I'm doing well, man. I see we got corporate sponsors now. Somebody coming up in the world.
Well, I don't know about corporate sponsors, more of like a Waller County / Brazos County sponsor, but we're doing all right.
Good to hear from you, brother.
Yes, sir. Same here, man. We're looking for that Tallahassee sponsor. You got someone to point us in that direction?
Hey, we're working on it.
You working on it? Okay, I'm going to keep reminding you to keep working on it. Well, it's obvious that you're in a good mood, man. We want to touch bases and bring the people up to speed. Early signing has just been completed. A lot of guys showboating early on the huge signing days, but sometimes it's better to be late than never. In your case, you guys traditionally try to hold back and do a little things on the backside in January, February. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we, for us, the state of Florida is very, very deep in recruiting, as you know, as far as recruiting talent. So we try to be patient. We try to do a lot on the front end as far as the vetting and really getting to know these guys. And then when, the early signing period rolls around, if there's some guys that we just fall in love with, that we've done all the research we needed to do, especially this year not being able to get out on the road because of COVID and the NCAA restrictions, we wanted to make sure that we weren't quick to rush into some of these commitments. So we have some guys we really, really like. We even have some guys that are, that are soft commits, so to speak. But we look to do the bulk of our recruiting here in January when we can have some more Zoom calls, talk to more coaches, guidance counselors, parents, the people who are really involved in the recruiting process, not just the PSA, so that we're making the right decisions. Again, we're in a situation where we can't afford to miss on many guys, not just from a football perspective, but academically, conduct, character-wise, and all those things. So we'll do the bulk of our class in February like we did last year, where we were able to sign a top 10 class, number one class in HBCU. But we feel like that method has worked for us in the past.
Okay, so when you talk about your soft recruits, are you talking about guys who traditionally they say yes, but they're still kind of flirting with others, or they're just waiting on to a particular time and moment to just go in full Monty?
Well, we're speaking of guys who have checked most of the boxes. And so the last box might be an academic evaluation. We may be waiting on grades to post from this fall. Many guys have not taken the standardized tests, the ACT and SAT, because the NCAA has waived those requirements for eligibility. But the state of Florida, in the state university system, still requires every incoming freshman to have taken the standardized test. And so for a lot of guys, it might be the fact that they have not taken the test yet, or the results haven't come back in. So they're committed to us. They want to be here. We want them here. But before we send them scholarship papers, we just want to make sure that academically everything checks out, that they're able to get admitted into the university, because obviously our admissions requirements are higher than the minimum NCAA requirements. And so, again, we want to position ourselves to bring young men into the program who not only can get into FAMU because of our rigorous admissions guidelines, but also stay in FAMU because, again, you don't become the number one public HBCU in America, probably 20 of the last 21 years without having a rigorous curriculum. And so we definitely want to make sure we're recruiting the right type of young man that can not only get in school, but also stay in school.
Okay, very much understood. Now, for those that you did sign, it wasn't a huge list, but if you don't mind, if you can go through the individuals that you signed at the early signing point, and then we can go from there.
Well, we signed two high school young men, one a linebacker out of Jacksonville, Florida, Trinity Catholic, not to be confused with Trinity Christian out of Cedar Hill, but Trinity Catholic School down in Jacksonville. Lucius Lattimore was actually our first commitment of this 2021 recruiting class. He's been committed to us really since this summer. He's a downhill linebacker, very athletic guy. You watch his film, he's a really physical guy at the point of attack. and we think will really increase our speed and tenacity and physicality at that position. And his team just won a state championship last week, and so it kind of keeps our mold of recruiting winners. A lot of the guys we recruit come from winning programs. The other high school guy, Jordan White, a local offensive lineman from here, actually my old high school, which would have been my high school had I graduated around this time. Obviously, my old high school is now middle school, and they combined a few schools within the county to make one county high school. But versatile guy, can play all three positions on the offensive line, tackle, guard, or center. So he brings a lot of versatility to us, much needed depth at a lot of positions. And so we're very, very excited to have him. And then the other two signees are 4-year transfers. So one, Jay Williams, is a 6'6", 310-pound offensive tackle who transferred to us right across the street, coming from Florida State. He's a graduate transfer. We'll have 1 year eligibility left. So we're very excited about him to come in and compete for the starting position at the tackle spot. And then the other guy we're very excited about is Stephon Atkinson, who's a defensive end outside linebacker that's coming to us from Western Kentucky. So he's another in-state guy, originally from the Orlando area, signed on to Western Kentucky last year, left after a year, wanted to get back closer to home. And we were really excited to get him, a 6'3", 225-pound guy. That's a true pass rusher. That's one of the positions of need for us coming into this season, was a true pass rusher. And he definitely fits that bill. And another versatile guy who can drop into coverage, who can rush the passer, who can play the run. And so that hybrid position, which we call our wolf position, is one where we've looked for a guy like him for a few years now. And we're very excited to get him. So those are the four guys that we have coming into the fold now, obviously with Jay and Stephon able to be here in January is a huge plus. And then Lucius and Jordan, along with the rest of the signees that will sign on February 3rd, will be here tentatively mid-summer. So we're looking forward to finishing off this class, some really good guys on the board, and we think we'll be able to put together another top class.
Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union has 13 different locations to better serve you. Locations in Rosenberg, Missouri City, Katy, College Station, Bryan, Brenham, and Waller, Texas. For more information, you can contact them on their toll-free number, 855-391-2149. Or you can send an email to information@bvscu.org.
We're on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union hotline with head football coach Willie "Shotgun" Simmons of the Florida A&M Rattlers. Now, you spoke about your early signees and your late signees to come later on in a couple of months. What would you say was the most critical need for your program to keep the plug-and-go system flowing?
Well, the two positions of immediate need for us were the two positions that we were able to acquire in the mid-year, which was offensive tackle and defensive end. We ran into a situation here because of COVID and us canceling the fall and spring seasons where we actually lost all three of our returning tackles from last season. Tariq Akbar, who was our starting left tackle last season, is a guy that's about to graduate, very, very smart young man. Business major, and so he had some job opportunities lined up, and he knew that he didn't have an NFL career lined up ahead of him. He was an undersized tackle, probably 6'1.5", about 260 pounds. So he said, "Coach, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm going to go ahead and forego my senior season and enter the workforce." And I respect him for that, and really gave him my full support. And again, he's a guy that's going to do tremendous things, in life because of the type of person that he is. Calvin Ashley, our 5-star transfer from Auburn that we acquired last season, decided that he would enter his name into the 21 draft, and so he bypassed his season where he could have returned and went back to Orlando to just train and hopefully hear his name called in the draft. This coming April, I think, when the draft is coming around. And then the last guy is Andre Regis. Andre was a guy that started for us at right tackle. He and Calvin kind of split reps at that position. And Andre ran into a situation where he had a baby, just recently had a newborn, and coming to the end of his college career, and a lot of things were kind of coming down upon him at the same time, financially, as far as the new baby and academically, and just some things going on with his personal life. And so he just decided to really focus his attention on being a great father, and going finding him a job and making him some money and finishing out his education. And so again, another guy that I supported through the entire process. And so again, we lost the three guys that were penciled in as starters for us at those positions. And so we definitely needed to bring someone in who could fill that void. And Jay definitely does that for us. And then again, we felt coming out of last season that the one area of need that we had was a true pass rusher. A guy that on third down, we don't have the pressure of stunt and do all those things. We can just line him up, put his hand on the ground, and just come off the edge. And Stephon is a guy that coming out of high school is one of the top pass rushers in his area. Went to Western Kentucky and put on some good quality weight. And we feel like he'll be able to come in and fill that void. So those are the two immediate needs, tackle and defensive end. And then obviously we have some areas where we want to build some depth with the rest of the signees, more positions up front on the offensive line and in the defensive secondary. So that's where our focus will be as we come back in January and kind of not hit the road, but hit the phone lines and the Zoom calls and all the things that we're allowed to do, full steam ahead.
Okay, very good. Now, with the other coaches that I've spoken with thus far, the echoes have pretty much been the same, so I might as well continue and ask you, with the COVID rearranging of recruiting in this 21st century, do you see Zoom being a part of a permanent fixture in your recruiting tool? Do you see it even removing some of your in-person visits as far as saving budget-wise when it comes to evaluating talent in the near future?
Well, I definitely think that each university will have to have a strategic plan as to how to incorporate Zoom into their recruiting efforts. I don't think anything will ever replace in-person contacts. To me, the best way to get to know someone is face-to-face. I guess dating apps and those type things have been around now for a long time. But even with those dating apps, I think at some point you meet up face-to-face. You may talk online for months and months and get to know each other that way. But I think that initial face-to-face interaction does take place, and then what happens from that, the rest is history. But I feel recruiting is the same way. We can spend all the time on the phone lines. We can spend all the time doing Zoom calls, and all of those things are great. And for low-resource institutions like FAMU and other schools in the SWAC and MEAC and FCS football and even some mid-major programs, I think it does help to save budget when we're not having to fly places or jump in the car and drive places where we can say, hey, as a staff, we want to do this Zoom call with this recruit on this day. But again, I think the face-to-face interactions, the official visits, all of those things that go into the process, I think will always be around because, you understand we're investing, thousands of dollars into, these young men in the form of scholarships, and trying to make sure we're making the right decisions, that we're bringing the right type of young men into our programs. And you don't want to roll the dice like that, and sign a bunch of guys that you haven't seen face-to-face, that you haven't sat down and looked mom and dad in the eye and really had that heart-to-heart conversation about what your expectations are for their son in your program. And so, again, we'll be strategic moving forward. I think Zoom is a great avenue and resource, and I think we'll all continue to use it. But in my personal opinion, there's nothing like the face-to-face interaction that happens during recruiting. So hopefully we can get through this COVID crisis and get back to some resemblance of the way we used to recruit, again, when we were able to get face-to-face and really dig down deep and get to know someone.
A dating app?
I never used it, but, I'm just guessing.
We're on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union hotline with Shotgun Willie Simmons, dating app, quote, alleged user from FAMU. But
no, I'm not listening to you. That's how rumors get started.
No, look, you said a dating app. But when I said the Zoom and using the Zooming technique, I was referring to instead of wasting a bunch of, as you say, money and time, once you get through a certain plateau of the recruiting or the chase, if you would, and then you could arrange the in-person where you have to spend the hard dollar for the travel and the visit. Because in times past, I'm pretty sure you could attest to this, some kids you flew in on a visit, you said, man, we wasted time even bringing this kid here, and we've gone down the road. But this way, using that technology can help eliminate you picking out studs from duds.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I said, I kind of being candid about the dating app, but I do think the preliminary parts of the recruiting will be handled through the Zoom. The initial interactions, the initial conversations, all of those things definitely can take place virtually. But at some point, we got to size the young man up. We got to see if he's truly 6'4", 270,
right,
or if he's in reality 6'2", 250. And you won't be able to see that through a Zoom call. At some point you got to watch him practice, face to face. I mean, again, there's nothing like being out there at a practice and watching a guy doing individual drill, watching him doing competition drills. I mean, highlight films are nice, but they're just that. They're highlight films. So if you can't impress a coach with a 5-minute highlight film, you're probably not going to be recruited very highly anyway. So, I mean, I want to see you practice. I want to see you in a real game where I get to watch you play after play after play. And sometimes, a huddle doesn't provide that for us. And so just the ability to truly be able to evaluate everything it is about a young man, I think those are the things that will never go away. But like you said, it may not be us going to see the guy in the spring twice, during the season a few times. You may reserve those in-person contacts until you know for sure that this is a young man that you want to take the next step with, as opposed to, like you said, wasting resources on the front end. So I think, again, you have to be strategic and find a way to do both. But I would hate to be in an arena when all we did, like we're doing now, is Zoom calls and virtual meetings and phone calls, because we are rolling the dice on some of these young men and hoping that they're as big as their coach or their profile says they are, that all the things that you would get from an in-person interaction, you hope that all those things are true, what the coach is saying. So, this recruiting cycle, because of COVID, obviously we've all had to adjust. But I think if you ask any coach in America, they'd much rather get back to the old method of face-to-face interactions, because, to me, that's the truest form of evaluating the guy, when you can really sit down, watch him, talk to him face-to-face, and get to do those things. So, but like you said, it definitely saves money and cost, and will be something that we use strategically, for the foreseeable future.
Without a doubt, because it's amazing how 6'2", 6'1", 250, 260 can turn in person to be 5'8" and 350. So that's a big difference between the two. We're talking right now with Shotgun Willie Simmons on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline. And one more thing on recruiting, Coach, when you go back, and it's such a risk, it seems like even more today, a high-profile risk when you're dealing with transfers, because transfers, for the most part, come with baggage. And sometimes these coaches, where they're transferring from, would kind of aid in a sense to help get rid of that, what they would consider dead weight. How careful do you have to be when you're dealing with transfers?
Yeah, I think you have to take the same approach as you do when you're recruiting anyone. To me, you have to do your homework. The film is the only thing the film gets you interested in a young man. At the end of the day, you watch the film. If they can play, then you take the next step. Let me now find out who this person truly is. And so, again, I joke around and use the dating references, but that's really what recruiting is. It's trying to convince someone that you're the best one for them. So just like on a date, yeah, the physical appearance is what's going to initially get you drawn to a person for the most part. But you got to have that first date. You got to have that first conversation. You got to figure out who their parents are, where they come from, what their values and beliefs are, and all those things before you, quote unquote, put a ring on it. And so for us, before we send an NLI, a scholarship paper that locks us in, for in most cases 4 or 5 years, or in the transfers case, sometimes maybe 2 or 3 years, you still want to make sure you do your homework. So when a guy enters the transfer portal, and you may have remembered the young man from recruiting him in high school, or he may be a name that you never heard of before, and you look at his film and it looks really, really good, But then you have to start doing your research, so it's not just his college coaches where he came from. Because like you said, if he's leaving, a lot of times coaches are trying to free up space. They may tell you what you want to hear just to help young man get out of the program and get to another school where they can sign someone else. But it goes deeper than that. He played for someone, whether it be junior college or high school, that knows him. And you better call those coaches. You better talk to his parents. You better talk to friends and significant others. And, again, all the people that know this young man. Because at the end of the day, we have a saying, they transfer for a reason. Now, that reason isn't always that they're a bad person or they're a bad kid or they can't play or they got bad grades. Sometimes the situation just wasn't conducive to them staying. I transferred. I was a transfer student. I left Clemson after 4 years. I graduated from there. I had started for them. I played. I was a great teammate. I was a great ambassador for the program. But I realized going into my 5th year of college that I wasn't going to be the starting quarterback. And I didn't want to sit and watch my last year. So I decided to leave. And I ended up landing at a spot that gave me an opportunity to play. And I had a great experience there. So, there are a lot of quality transfers in the transfer portal. Yes, there are some that have some grade issues going on. There are some that maybe have some character issues going on that cause them to be dismissed from the team. But to me, the critical thing is that you don't just look at the film and make an evaluation based on how good you think they are and how they can help your team physically, but you got to look at the academic piece. You have to look at their character. You have to look at whether they're willing to drop down a level to coming from maybe a Power 5 program to a low-resource institution, where they're not getting cost of attendance, where in some cases they're not even getting all of their Pell Grant. And so, you have to do your homework and make sure you're adding the right pieces to the puzzle. And I think that's where a lot of us make some recruiting mistakes, because we look at their size, their speed, their strength, their athleticism, and we, turn a deaf eye to a lot of red flags that may be coming with that young man, and they get into your program and are detrimental. So I'd much rather take a good character young man that wants to do college work, that wants to work his butt off and do the right things, that may be a little bit less talented, than take a 5-star talent that is not going to do the things right that we want to do in our program. And that's just our recruiting philosophy here at Florida A&M. I can't speak for anybody else, but I think that's why we've had a level of success that we've had, because we're about taking the right young men, and we understand some of them come in with some challenges, and we're here to develop them. But what we can't do is add a bunch of quote-unquote bad apples to the bunch, because you know what the saying is about that.
Yes, sir. Now, how long did it take for you to evolve to this mindset as a head coach? Because I know that if you go back and they say you do the acid test, there may have been some moves that you may have made that you may have second-guessed, but you had to ride or die with it because you made that choice. How long did it really take for you to come to the forefront with this philosophy that you now carry?
Well, it's ever-evolving, and I can't say that I'm 100% there now. We make mistakes. We make recruiting mistakes just like everyone else does. And we missed on some young men. We've gone the distance with some young men, and some have did a complete 180 and have turned into upstanding citizens and great students and great football players. And some have, continued to go down the wrong path, and their careers didn't end the way that we may have wanted it to end. And so, as a head coach and as a young man who takes pride in dealing with young African Americans particularly, one of my shortcomings, I guess you would say, as a head coach, is that my heart sometimes is bigger than my scholarship budget, to put it into those terms. And I want to save them all. That's just my goal, my MO. Any young man that I have a chance to coach or mentor, I want to help that young man. I want to see that young man graduate. I want to see him fulfill his dreams and goals and aspirations. And sometimes I get caught up in the idea that I can do it in that short period of time that they're actually under my care. If he's a high school student, that means I typically have 5 years to get him to that point. If he's a 2-year transfer, sometimes that's 2 to 3 years. In the case of a 5th-year transfer, I only have him for maybe 6 months. But whatever that time frame is, I always think that if I just do enough, if I just go the extra mile and try a little bit harder, I can get them over that threshold. And sometimes I fall short, because, again, it takes a village to raise these young men sometimes, and some of them come with some pretty insurmountable challenges that sometimes I'm not equipped to handle, and we're in the age now where young men they don't really talk about what they're really experiencing a whole lot. So you got to try to dig deep to get it out of them. And many times it's by the time I get to the information, it may be too late. And so, I can't say that I'm 100% on this. I'm 100% on the philosophy. I want the right young men to be in the program, but that doesn't necessarily mean that every guy that comes into this program will be a 4.0 student that has never gotten in any trouble. I think our institutions were built for providing opportunities for young men and young women that other people wouldn't give them. And I want to be able to do the same thing here at Florida A&M for some of these prospective student athletes. So if they have a little ding on their record, as long as it's not something that from a public relations standpoint is going to be detrimental to our brand, we'll give that young man a chance. If his academic profile isn't all the way up to par, but we see that he's getting better and he's starting to figure out what college is all about, we'll give that young man a chance. So we roll the dice on plenty every year. And I would love to sit here and say that I'm 100%. I'm not. But that's why I stay up at night trying to figure out where I went wrong. If I lose one, how did I lose them? How can I do better the next time? Because, again, I think I was placed here to help young men be successful in life. And whatever I have to do to get that done, I'm willing to do. So the philosophy is, get good people here. That good people doesn't mean that they don't make mistakes. It just means that they want better for their lives. And if you come here and you want better, we're going to bust our butt every single day as a coaching staff and as a support staff to help you achieve that. And, if you give us a chance, we feel like here at FAMU you can achieve all the goals and dreams just like you can anywhere else. And I'll stick by that as long as I'm alive.
Very well stated, my friend. I tweeted something the other day that I didn't think would get much legs, but it was amazing how it just took off. And it simply says this: every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future, which means that we all are related in some form or fashion. And if you've gone through, help somebody get through. And if you're going through, accept the help to get you through. So very well stated, man. You sound like you're getting wiser and wiser, man. Is that Florida air touching your soul?
And you sound like you've been listening to J. Cole.
Oh man, no, it's just I'm hearing shotgun, but it's a mature shotgun. Man, you getting old on me?
Man, I got plenty more gray hairs than the last time you saw me out there in Texas. I can tell you that much. But hey, man, you get wiser as you continue to grow and mature. And I've been a head coach now for 6 years. I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot. And as a player, as an assistant coach, and now as a head coach. And so, like those saying, the day you stop learning is the day you die. And I feel pretty vibrant. I think I'm pretty healthy. And so I don't have any plans of checking out anytime soon. So that means I have a lot more learning and growing to do and maturing. And so as a head coach, obviously, you get paid to make these decisions, and it always falls back on you, But when it comes to the development of young men, again, that's something that I'm extremely, extremely passionate about. And, I applaud everything that's happening over in Jackson and the attention that Coach Prime is getting. And he's doing a phenomenal job of bringing a lot of attention to the HBCU circuit, but one of the things, and I think I can speak for many coaches at the HBCU level, is this notion that, all of a sudden now guys will be developed because they go play for, one coach or another. I mean, we've been developing young men for hundreds of years at this level. I mean, you read stories about Eddie Robinson and about Jake Gaither and, A.W. Mumford and all these legendary greats. Willie Jeffries and all the things that they've been able to do, and even look at today, Buddy Pugh, Broderick Fobbs, Fred McNair, all these guys. I mean, we've been developing young men since we've been coaching, and we probably do it at just a high level or higher than anyone at any level, So that's our mission. HBCUs were established to provide opportunities for minorities, and we're doing that throughout our football programs, and so our young men at FAMU are getting developed. Again, this is no knock on anyone. And again, I applaud everything that coach is doing, but I applaud everything that all the coaches at the HBCU level are doing, because I see it every day. I follow these guys on Twitter. I see the number of guys graduating from these institutions. I know about the guys that we graduated at Alcorn State. I know about the guys that we graduated at Prairie View A&M, that I see becoming great fathers, becoming great community leaders, becoming great advocates for their respective communities, and that's what we're all doing. So I just really want people to really take a deeper look at the job that we as coaches are doing at this level, and that's fans, that's alumni, that's administrations, that's agents, that's search firms, that's media personalities. Before you pass judgment on anything that we're doing at this level, take a deeper look. Come sit in our program for a day and see what we have to go through and endure as head coaches to keep our programs afloat, to keep these young men and give them an opportunity to be successful. And that's what we're all committed to doing. And so I really just hope people really appreciate the job that we're trying to do at these places, because it's not easy. And I know everyone feels like they can call a game on Saturday better than all of us can. But like I tell my coaches who want to be offensive coordinators, calling the game on Saturday is the easiest part of my job. If all I had to do was call plays on Saturday, this would be a what they call a plush job. But it's Sunday through Friday that keeps all of us as head coaches up at night. The late night phone calls, the meetings with the administration, the fundraising, the convincing, the community to help you. All these things that we have to endure on a day-to-day basis on top of the things that these young men go through on a daily basis in their family situations back at home and all those. So, I apologize for getting on the soapbox, brother, but again, that's one thing that really, really, just kind of frustrates me a little bit, is the narrative that we as head coaches, particularly at the HBCU level, aren't developing our young men. We may not have 10, 15 draft picks every year, but I promise you, and I guarantee if you look at corporate America, it's filled with guys that played HBCU football. You look at the medical field, you look at the service industry, it's filled with young men who played HBCU football, because that's what you have. That's what you get when you come to a place like FAMU. You get developed. You get to be around the people that care about you in an environment where you get to be yourself and really grow into who you're going to be as an individual, as an adult, And so for any recruit listening, for any parent listening, coach listening, again, there are 21 of these schools at this level, and there are another 20 or so at the Division II level. You can get a great quality education here, just like you can at all the rest of them. You will develop into a young man at FAMU just like you will at all the rest of them, because I personally know all 21 head coaches at this level, and I know that we're all committed to making sure that our young men are successful in life. So, again, this wasn't the purpose of the show, Prince, and I apologize, but I've been kind of holding on to this one for a while.
Hey, my man, there's no need to apologize at all. You know that you have an open mic here, literally and figuratively, here with this network, and that's why we appreciate you and love on you and keep the light on for you. So don't need to apologize at all.
Reflections Paint and Auto Body Shop, located in Waller, Texas, is ready to restore the beauty of your automobile. Whether it's a small dent or a major accident, if your vehicle needs auto body repair, check out Reflections Paint and Body Shop. All repairs are completed by highly skilled and trained professionals. They are located at 2910 Waller Street in Waller, Texas. And just in case you can't get it into them, they provide towing services. Call them today, 936-931-5780. That number again, 936-931-5780.
We are on the line with Coach Willie Simmons on the Brazos Valley School Credit Union hotline. And now that we've gotten that out in the open, let's talk about, let's say, the rubber meeting the road. It's official now that you guys will not be foregoing in spring football. So next stop will be SWAC USA to start the fall season off. How are you and your staff preparing mentally for the new fresh air for some, not all, that will be in the SWAC versus in the MEAC? I know it's the same, but it's not the same. And what are you preparing, if anything special, for the transition?
Well, the thing is, and I hate to sound cliched or use coach talk, but, September 5th is a long time away. There's so many things that are going to happen between now and that date. So our primary focus right now our primary focus is the young men that we're coaching here at Florida A&M. You know, getting these guys back, making sure that they're coming back from their respective homes, that they're all healthy, that we can all get them tested when they get back, that we can start an all-season program on time, that we can get these guys caught up in the classroom. You know, this virtual learning has really taken its toll on some of our young men, and so to be able to get them back in a traditional learning environment where there's some more in-person classes going on, which is the plan so far this spring. Not sure if that will remain the plan, but our focus right now, you know, is definitely the young men that we're able to coach. And we'll get through the spring, try to bring this team together, see where we are after 15 days of spring practice. And then at that point, once we determine what we have on the roster and what we're able to bring in, then start to maybe look ahead to say, okay, who are our first 4 opponents? Let's go ahead and start doing some self-scouting on those guys. We will release our official schedule January 1st, so we will know who we're playing, and we'll begin preparation on those guys at the appropriate time. But, you know, football is football, and whether you're in the SWAC, the MEAC, or any other conference, you have to get ready, you know, for great competition. You know, the SWAC's a phenomenal football league. A lot of true blue bloods in that conference, and we're looking forward and very excited to be a part of the conference. And so it starts out, you know, down in Miami, first game of the season. And I won't spoil it too much because, again, the official schedule will release here. But I think if anybody's been following FAMU, they already know who we'll open up with. But just say it will be prime time versus prime time.
Yes, sir.
So
unless you've been under a rock somewhere, you would not know who that is. But I'm pretty sure, as the old blues songs say, everything's out in the open.
So that's what our focus is. We're focusing on Miami Gardens against Jackson State, you know, September 5th, and looking forward to that game. But we do have a spring practice, a full spring practice slate that we're looking forward to completing in the meantime. So we'll check out the college landscape to see what the spring football schedule looks like. If teams are able to pull it off, we're still, you know, cautiously optimistic about whether that will be a possibility. And we'll continue to enjoy some football from afar, and then prepare our guys to be ready to play when we finally are able to strap it up next September down in Miami Gardens.
Well, I think psychologically you would even have you and your staff in the mindset to get, quote unquote, back into the normal frame of football by foregoing the spring ball and just get everything back on course to have a regular fall season. And I could see that almost being somewhat to an advantage.
Well, we feel that way. You know, we feel that we can have a traditional spring, and that's something that many schools are trying to figure out now how to pull off. When you're trying to condense 2 football seasons in one calendar year, that definitely poses a set of challenges. You know, and for many of these coaches, especially new coaches, they have not seen their team. Many guys were not on campus this fall. So many colleges at our level were not practicing, were not working out. And so they'll get their guys back in January. They'll try to whip them into shape and prepare for a 6 or 7 game schedule starting in February. And that's going to pose a set of challenges in and of itself. But again, I do commend any team that is committed to playing. It's going to take a lot of preparation. It's going to take a lot of luck to get through 5 weeks of practice with no stoppages. I don't know if there's been a school out there that has not had some type of stoppage because of a COVID-19 potential outbreak with contact tracing. And so if they can do that and, again, get through a schedule with no blemishes, I tip my hat to them. You know, just looking at our situation, and we have testing right here at our campus where we're able to test our guys up to 3 times a week. We just didn't feel that it was in our best interest to try to pull it off, you know, from a safety standpoint, from a financial standpoint. It just really didn't make as much sense. Yes, we all want to play. We're competitors. You know, we feel like we will be able to field a great football team this spring, and we had practice this fall. But, again, we just felt there was too much that went into it and that it would have been a tall task to be able to pull it off. And so we made the decision as an administration, and I supported 100%, that we would forego the fall as well as the spring season and that we would, again, put all our eggs into the 2021 fall basket. We'll get our team prepared physically, get our team prepared mentally, as well as academically, to go into the SWAC full board, no distractions, and let's see if we can go in and win this thing in year one, because that's the goal, is to go in and be SWAC champions fall of 21. And so I think with this plan that we're putting together, it'll give us the best opportunity to do so. And I'm looking forward to finally being able to strap it back on and get back on the practice field and get prepared to play against someone else. But got to wait about 9 more months for that, and we'll do so.
Well, you just fired shots, someone who just heard your statement you just made, but it is what it is. You played to win the games, right?
That's what they say. You're always trying to start something, Mike. You keep trying to start something.
Man, I'm not trying to start anything. I'll just report the facts, sir. And the fact is, you made it be known that you want to go out and be SWAC champion, and that's why you strap up and play the game. So someone is going to take it, get caught in their feelings, and say, oh, there they go, talking about they the champ. You know how this thing goes, man. I'm not starting nothing. I'm just maintaining.
Well, I would think it's safe to say that, and I tell my team this all the time. You're a former athlete, and so every team at the end of practice has a breakdown. When they get together, they put their hands up, and they, whatever on three. Right. Every team does championship at some point. I think every team in their preseason camp talks about winning a conference championship and what it's going to take to get it, because that's the ultimate goal. And so if we're not preparing to win a conference championship, what are we doing? Here at Florida A&M, I mean, that's our goal, is rings and degrees. We're about rings and degrees. Win championship rings and get your degree. So if we don't talk about winning the conference championship, then we're not the Florida A&M that I grew up respecting, and I think the nation grew up respecting. So, yes, we have every intention to be competitive on the field and give ourselves every opportunity to go out and win a conference championship. And that's our goal. That's our mission. And our preparation is geared towards it every single day. We know the steps it takes to get there. We're going to focus on those steps, whereas championship is not what we talk about all the time. But, again, the ultimate goal is to win a championship. And so, again, whether it's clickbait or locker, whatever it is, bulletin board material, I don't care, because my team is going to hear it all the time. This is what we're working towards. And so, we have the fortune of playing at a university who is one of the leading schools in the nation at national championships and conference championships. And so we're no strangers to championships. That's in our DNA. And so we're going to continue that. I was brought here to bring that back because we have fallen on hard times, and I think we're well on our way to getting to that point where we're perennial contenders. And so, again, I don't care who it offends or who it fires up, but just know that when you play the Florida A&M Rattlers, you're going to play a team that's committed to doing the right things on the field and off the field to give ourselves the best chance to be successful, and that success is also tied into us winning football games on Saturday.
Point very well noted, sir. And that's all I was saying. Just say what you mean what you say, and let the dust settle where it settles. And if they say, I used to hear coming up, if you're offended, if you're scared, go to church. And maybe you can go to the Wizard of Oz and get some heart so you can try to defend it. If you don't like what somebody has to say, then defend it when you have a chance to defend it. That's all I'm saying. One athlete to another, right? Mano y mano. We're on the line with Shotgun Willie Simmons on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline. It is always a joy and a pleasure to speak with you, my friend. It appears that the Florida sun is doing your mind, body, and soul well. Sounding like a cagey old veteran behind the clipboard of the whistle. Now, I didn't notice you much as you got toward leaving Prairie View. Do you still walk around with your whistle around your neck, man?
Well, I'm a coach, so it would be hard to coach if I don't have a whistle. So, yeah, man, I keep my whistle around my neck with my car sheet attached to it. It's the same as all. Still got my visor, still got my shades on my visor. So nothing's gonna change with that. So maybe a few more gray hairs. A few more gray hairs. A few more COVID pounds that I gotta go out here and walk off. From when I left Prairie View. Not too much, but a couple.
You got that coach's belly. You got that coach's belly, man.
No, not the coach's belly. Definitely don't want to get that. But a couple more pounds than I would like. My wife and I, we talk about all the time, between the baby and the COVID. We got some baby new baby / COVID weight that we both got to work off. But
don't blame it on that baby. Don't blame it on that baby.
As the saying goes, I'm still the same OG.
I know that's right. I know that's right, man. Look, and stay the same OG, and I'll stay the same OG, and maybe we can get somewhere down the road together. How that sound, my man?
It sounds like a plan, brother.
All right. Look, man, we appreciate you. We want to give you some closing thoughts and comments, and the floor is now yours.
Oh, man, hey, I just, as always, appreciate the opportunity to share. And, of course, we have great dialogue, and I definitely value your opinion on some things. And I just want to say to everyone, just continue to stay safe and do the right things. This pandemic has really changed our everyday way of life, and a lot of people that are significantly affected by it. Not just the fact that we're not playing football or some of those things, but employment, health, financially. There's been a lot of challenges associated with this virus. So, again, I don't want to be a health expert, but I know there are a lot of fears and apprehensions, and rightfully so, behind the vaccine. But again, we got to weigh it against the alternative. Do we want to continue this fight, for the foreseeable future, or do we want to, trust science and those type things? So, again, I was one of the biggest, proponents or advocates rather. I never even got the flu vaccine, and so, but if our university requires it for us to, if NCAA requires it for us to play, it's what we have to do. And so, I'm not getting paid by any pharmaceutical company. I'm not anything like that. But I really would encourage people to do your research, really see, especially people with underlying health conditions, see if this vaccine, talk to your healthcare provider, talk to your primary care provider, and see if this vaccine is right for you, because, again, we have to find a way to stop, this curve and get back to a sense of normalcy, because, again, this has been the toughest year, one of the toughest years in my life, and this is coming from a guy that's lost both parents, best friends, relatives, you name it. This year has been one of my most trying, simply because, the one thing that's been a constant for me for the last really 20 or 32 years, matter of fact, I've been playing the game since I was 8 years old, has been taken away, because of this virus. And so I want to get back to coaching football. Our young men want to get back to playing football. Our fans want to get back to watching football in person, but we have to create a safe environment to do so. And so that means, some of us putting our fears and apprehensions aside to get vaccinated, to stop the spread of this virus. That's what we have to do. And so that's just my message for tonight. I appreciate all the support, everyone who has poured in to help us during this tough time. We've had some significant facility upgrades. We'll talk about that in the next conversation. But our athletic director, Courtney Gaucher, our administration led by President Dr. Larry Robinson, have really committed to investing in these young men in our football program, our athletics program as a whole. And I'm thankful for that. Definitely grateful for that and gracious for that. And so I thank everyone listening and abroad who during this tough time has given to Florida A&M and Florida A&M athletics, because our young men and women sorely need it more than ever. And hopefully we can get some of this Mackenzie Brazos money that she's giving all these universities. But again, just thank you, brother. Again, I think the world of you and look forward to the next time we're able to catch up.
Very well stated, my friend. And you notice I did not ask you about the Final Four, because I already know where your heart is on that one. Actually, they just did a delay before it's Alabama and Clemson, and I know who you're rolling with, so we won't even waste time on that one, right?
Hey, man, I still bleed orange, baby, and I get to bleed orange double, because FAMU orange and green and Clemson purple and orange, so I get to bleed orange. But
yes, sir.
I roll with my Tigers and I roll with my Rattlers, so
I do understand.
Somebody knock us off. Hey, we're coming with. LSU's not in it, so we're the last national champion that's playing, right now. So we got to represent. We got a tough game ahead of us. Ohio State, they're coming in with the chip on their shoulder. Everyone's talking about how they don't deserve to be in it because of the limited number of games they played. But those guys are going to be ready to play, and they remember the last time they played. It was a close game, came down to the wire. So, but if I know my guys, which I do, they're going to be prepared. Look forward to seeing a phenomenal game. And, I'm mentally preparing myself for Clemson, Alabama. Version 6 now? I mean, it feels like they play every year.
6.0, baby.
So hopefully we can pull it together. And I love to see one of my best friends, Tony Elliott. I love to see him get another national championship. And, of course, Dabo's been a great mentor and advocate for me during my coaching career. So we'd love to see those guys be able to go out there and get them another one.
All right, he is Shotgun Willie Simmons of the Florida A&M Rattlers on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline. 13 different locations to better serve you, one near you. I must exit stage left right now. My time is far spent. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Remember to follow me on Twitter at The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network, and our 24-hour dial-in message line, 713-570-6736. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.